Okay, everyone, we're joined by head coach Nate Oats. While we get him framed up, we'll go ahead and raise your hand if you have a question. We'll unmute you. I think we're good, Christopher. Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and get the ball rolling. If you have a question, use the raise hand function, and we'll go ahead and get your questions going. So first question, we'll go ahead with Charlie Potter.
Hey, Coach. Thanks for doing this. I know you guys still have plenty of time until November, but given some of the hype your team has received, what are your realistic expectations for this year?
I mean, I think we'll be much improved. Just our depth's going to be a lot better. I think we're, as far as expectations, people ask where we're going to finish all that. I don't know all that. We're going to, obviously this season's going to be a little bit different than a normal season, being that, you're going to have guys possibly out with COVID, this, that, and the other. So I do think depth's a bigger deal this year than it's ever been in college. And we needed depth last year and didn't have it with all the injuries we had. But I think we should be competing for championships. SEC championships, tournament championship, making a run in the NCAA tournament. I think we've got the talent to. Now there's got to be a lot of stuff that comes together to do that. Chemistry has to be good. Obviously injuries play a part in seasons, how guys perform. I mean, everything looks great on paper, but you actually have to get out and perform a little bit too. But we got high expectations and we're not going to shy away from them. I think we've got a really talented roster, a roster that fits how we want to play better. Obviously losing Cairo was big, and JQ's got huge shoes to fill, but there's also other guys that, Shaq's come a long ways and being able to play a little bit of one. Primo's been great in practice and he can play a lot of one. He's a big guard. Herb Jones can play some one. Hopefully we can keep him healthy all year. He's looked tremendous in practice. So we've got options at the different spots, but yeah, we do have high expectations for sure.
Next up, Tony Tsoukalas.
Yeah, Coach. The reports today that the Maui Invitational. Just what's your thoughts on that? And then also, is that going to be your first game of the season? And if so, what's that going to be like instead of having that warm up game heading into?
Yeah, you know what? We don't have confirmation yet from the SEC on what our non-conference schedule is going to look like. That we're kind of in a holding pattern until they give us clarification on who we can play, what all that type of stuff. Like, are they going to, there's a lot of variables going on. So I would rather that not be our first game. And it definitely looks like it's being moved to Asheville. I've heard it's a great place. It's not Maui though. So it's a little disappointing that we're in Maui. The 1 year Maui's not played in Maui. Hopefully we can get back in it here soon, but the field's great. It's 3 great games would be tremendous games to play. I'd prefer not to play them the first 3 games of the year. So hopefully we're able to get a game on the 25th when you're able to start playing. But as of right now, we don't have confirmation from the SEC on what we can and can't do yet. So hopefully they get that to us here shortly because, the season's about 2 months away and we got to come up with a schedule here.
Okay. Alexander Plant with the Crimson White.
Coach, out of everyone that you've been seeing this offseason, which player has impressed you the most?
Shoot, it's a hard question. I mean, today it's going to be somebody different than it was yesterday, and it's going to be somebody different than next week. I mean, I thought Herb Jones was great, early in the summer. I think Jahvon Quinerly has been really good here lately. Obviously, I mean, you really could go down the list on guys. And when you say impress me, you expect pretty big things out of some of the guys that have played with us. There's, John Petty was second team all SEC. So he's really good in practice. Is he impressing me? Well, I was pretty impressed last year with some of his games. So that's a difficult question. I think, Rojas is getting healthier and healthier and he's playing really, really well in practice, but he just got to get more and more confident with his knee, but he's turning into the exact kind of player we thought he was going to be. So, Keon Ellis, we've been charting shots and all that ever since we've been able to go live 5-on-5 stuff, a month or so ago. Keon Ellis is leading the team in 3-point percentage. So, we're going to have great shooting to go around, the rest of it. And then, Jordan Bruner's everything we thought he was going to be too. Alex Reese has just recently gotten cleared to start doing the stuff off his hip surgery he had over the summer, and he's been shooting the ball great in practice too. So I'm not going to say there's only, one guy that's impressed me the most over the entire period of time, but shoot, Reese really shot it well maybe 2-3 days ago in practice, like as good as I've ever seen him shoot it. Petty, I just left practice and came to this. I thought Rojas and Petty were both really good today. I just, every day new guys step up. So
Mike Rodak.
Yeah, Nate, across the SEC football-wise, it seems like a lot of the schools are having about 20-25% fan capacity. Have you gotten any indication about what basketball might look like this?
You know what? I haven't, and I really don't have much of an answer on that type of stuff. And I think more of that's going to come from SEC level, or maybe even our local level, like what's allowed in Tuscaloosa. I don't have answers on that. That's our administration, SEC administration, local health officials, all that type of stuff. I hope we can get as many fans as possible in there. It's obviously much better to play in front of a crowd. Now, you're watching the NBA playoffs right now, and they just recently got some family members as fans in. Well, it seems to me like a lot of those guys are figuring out how to play really hard without a crowd. So no matter who's in the crowd, what the capacity is, we're going to come with an effort that's a winning effort. That's what we're trying to do. I mean, you saw Belichick, somebody asked him, have you ever seen anything like this before? He said, yeah, practice. Well, we should be giving a max effort in practice every day, just like we're going to in the games, no matter how many people in their stands. But I would love for as many Alabama fans as we could possibly get into there to be in there. But again, that's out of my hands.
Cecil Hurt.
Hey, Coach, this is Cecil. Can you hear me okay?
I can't see. So I don't like the fact that we don't have your face on there like everybody else. So you didn't think
I look like I promise I look like I usually look. So
nothing new? No, didn't get a perm or anything over COVID?
No,
Okay.
Nothing new. I was just curious. We haven't done one of these, I don't think, since John Petty made the decision to return. And just talk about the value, A, of having him back, and B, of having a guy who's got 100 games of SEC or high level experience under his belt.
I mean, it's huge. We wanted what was best for John, and he went through the whole process, got great info. There was teams that, I'm pretty sure he would have ended up on a two-way minimum. There was teams very interested in drafting him. His goal is to play his way into the first round and get, multi-year guaranteed contract. So we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that happens. As far as our team goes, I think it's huge. We've got all these guys playing really well in practice right now, and they look great. But, they haven't done it in an SEC game yet. He's done this in however many SEC games he's played. He's done it at a high level. Second team all SEC players don't grow on trees. So it's good for us. It's good for him to be in practice. It's good for the organization. It's good for the team, and it's good for his teammates too. I mean, as well as he shoots it, he's going to draw an awful lot of attention. It's going to open up some other guys once we get time to play games too. And he's playing well. He's playing offensive and defensively. He's playing really well. He just was just a new. Well, he's not a new father because he's been a father, but he's got a son now too. It happened Monday of this week. So John's now got a son and a daughter, both doing great. So can congratulate John on that. But he was back in practice today. He was up in Huntsville at the beginning of the week for a few days, and he was back for today's practice.
Drew Carter is next.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned practice a few times. I'm just curious, how does practice look different this year with COVID-19 going on, if at all?
Well, I mean, back initially when guys were getting, contact tracing and all that, you were missing, it's hard to have a full team when guys are quarantined and isolated and this and that. But we've gotten past that. I think our guys have been pretty smart. We haven't lost a guy to a quarantine or an isolation for probably close to a month now. So, now that the students have been back and whatever, I don't even follow what the cases are here in the city anymore. I'm sure they change daily, but our guys have done a good job not going to the different parties or whatever to get, to either get the COVID or to get caught in a contact tracing deal type of deal. So we've had the full roster minus the guys out with injuries now for the last few weeks, which is good. The initially in the summer, when they were only allowed started with, basically one guy per rim, and it's worked its way up. Coaching staff with, masks on, different stuff, but it's different. You just learn to adjust. Players aren't going to play with masks on. So, in lifting and different stuff, we have that. But once we get going live in practice, we try not to huddle where guys are close. We're trying to make sure that nobody's within 6 feet of anybody else for 15 minutes or more. So the huddle at the beginning and the end, we're spread out. There's different stuff like that. It's all different, but it's still basketball at the end of the day. We're getting after it and we're playing and we're practicing. When the ball goes and the drills are live, it's all the same. It's all the other stuff outside of it that's different.
Kirk McNair is up next. Kirk, you there?
Aaron's a little slow with the computer over there. I see you can't get the right guy's face up quickly.
All right, let's go to
Can you hear me now?
We got you now,
Yeah,
Kirk. There you go.
Okay. Coach, I wonder if you just, you had 3 guys on your roster last year, one who practiced and 2, I guess, who were pretty limited, Rojas and Quinerly and Gary. And just tell me about them and what it's like to have them now working.
Yeah, it's nice. I get to see all your guys' homes where you live. See if you keep your places tidy or not. The house is looking good there, Kurt. So the 3 guys that were out that were in the program last year, well, obviously Quinerly's a little bit different situation. He was not out with an injury, so he was able to practice every day all year. We had a really good idea. Now it's different. He's going to play. He's in there. He's not on the scout team. He's been really good here over the last week or 2. I think he's going to help us tremendously. We really needed him. That's why we went and got him, because we were anticipating Kyra having a pretty good year. So, he's going to be good for us. Rojas and Jahvon are in 2 different spots. Rojas's injury was not as bad as Jahvon's, and it happened about a month before Jahvon's. So he's more advanced. Rojas is in. He's no longer limited to anything. He's practicing full bore, getting back in shape, getting basketball, conditioning, getting his mind used to it. Does my knee hold up? So Rojas has come a long ways. I mean, he's ready to go. Jahvon is still not in anything live. Jahvon's doing skill workout, shooting, but his injury was worse and it happened later. So he got and the COVID thing really didn't help either of those guys, to be honest with you. I mean, there was months on end where they couldn't get into rehab centers or come in and do the rehab with us like they needed to when everybody was home isolating. So that put them behind schedule a little bit. Anyways, hopefully Jahvon will get to the point where he can start practicing with us here, another month or so. I'm not sure on that time frame. Clark keeps me in, but the 2 that are practicing with us right now are going to help us a lot. I mean, Rojas, Quinerly are both tough, hard-nosed, skilled players at their positions, and they're both going to help us a lot this year.
Next up, Michael Casagrande.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, just wall art. Is that okay? How's our backdrop here?
That's great. It's nice. I like the wall art. It's looking good. Is Kincaid? My wife would be happy if it is.
No, it was an original from my my girlfriend.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Even better. Can we purchase those or what?
Yeah, we'll work it out. Facebook Marketplace. Anyway, I wanted to ask about the new guys, Primo, Chiku. I wonder how they're looking and wondering what the magic is with the success recruiting in Canada.
So we've got 6 new guys that weren't in the program last year. Primo, Chiku, like you said, Keon Ellis, Keon Ambrose. who Darius Miles, the other freshman, and then obviously Bruner being a grad transfer. So to go through all 6 may take a while. Let me address the 2 that, or let's talk about the foreign kids that you brought up. So Primo, Keon Ambrose, Alex Chiku. Alex was the latest one we got. I mean, he's really raw, but really skilled. Like, he's spent a lot of time in a gym working on his individual skill level for being 6, and he's all of 6'11". I mean, he's tallest kid on the team and long and athletic for his size. And I mean, he can make threes, handle the ball. He's just got to get a lot of reps in live action, going against defense, having to make decisions, having to make those reads. And that takes time. So is he going to be, you know, I think he's going to be a pro when it's all said and done. Is he a pro right now? No, he's got to get action in games, action in practices. He's just got to play. So we're going to keep playing. He's got an unbelievable attitude. Work ethic's great. Wants to be in the gym all the time. We love him, and his upside is ridiculously high. Primo and Keon Ambrose, the 2 Canadian kids. I mean, Primo's 6'6" point guard, combo guard that can make shots, handle the ball. Got good, you know, weighs about 190. Got great size to him. He's like really good, you know, for being as skilled as he is at his size, and he's going to help us a lot. You know, JQ's going to play the point guard, but Primo's going to be more than capable of playing the point, allowing JQ to play off the ball some too, and then also, you know, Primo can make plays, put him in a lot of pick and rolls, playing a combo guard and that type of thing. And so I think, you know, he's maybe most ready to play right away with just, you know, he's played on the Canadian national team and all that. And then Keon Ambrose is another one that's, you know, a little bit raw. He's turned himself into a shooter here in the last year. You know, I saw him when I was at Buffalo, and, you know, we're obviously right across the border from Canada. I saw him when he was younger. He was always active, athletic, goes hard, great energy. He's added the shot to his game here recently. So it's still not the best thing he does, but he's more than capable of making a shot, you know, making a three, but he's all over the energy stuff. Like, the offensive rebounding, running the floor hard, getting his hands on balls, deflections. He's, you know, he's got good size and athleticism for doing that. So he's going to help us with that, and then build his way into more of the skill level type stuff as we move on.
Steve Moulton is next.
Hey, Coach, I appreciate you doing this.
Steve's house obviously isn't looking great. He just gives us the black screen. So we'll get you an interior decorator, Steve.
I've got a face for radio, so hence the black screen. I appreciate you doing this. In terms of what the ACC released a couple of weeks ago, their idea of expanding the NCAA basketball tournament. What's your opinion on that, Coach?
I think it's ridiculous, to be honest with you. I mean, you know, nothing against them. They got some really good coaches. I'm sure somebody had a bright idea, but like a lot of the writers made the point, and I agree with them 100%. We already have that. Like every conference, I believe, has a conference tournament, right? So the conference tournaments lead into the NCAA tournament. So this is, you know, everybody has a chance to play their way into the Final Four. Like, win your conference tournament. That's the first couple rounds of the NCAA tournament, right? And then you're in. So like, what point would the conference tournament? What do the conference tournaments do if everybody's going to make the NCAA tournament? So I don't think it's going to happen. I think they had some other motives behind, you know, like maybe, I mean, part of their deal, I think, in reading some of the stuff, was if there wasn't a non-conference and everybody just played conference games, how would you decide who got in? Because you have no interconference play between conferences. So, well, let's just let everybody in. But that still begs the question, how would you seed the teams if there was no interconference play? So I think we need to have non-conference games. I think we're going to have them. The NCAA just came out with it. So now that we're going to have non-conference games, I really don't see any need to do what they were talking about. I don't think it's going to happen. Shoot, I was a high school coach. Everybody made the tournament in high school. This is not high school basketball anymore. You got to earn your way into the NCAA tournament. It's not everybody gets in. It's big boy Division I basketball here.
AP Stedham.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
Good. I'm doing great.
Oh, that's great, Coach. Coach, I wanted to ask you, does your roster have people that can score inside and out and defend inside and out? And do you have one or more players that can command a double team?
Well, so the answer is yes and yes. So we do have players that can score inside and out. We do have guys that can guard inside and out. And yes, again, we do have players that will command a double team. Now, the way we play, we're not going to, I mean, I don't know if you guys are watching the NBA playoffs. You know, you guys watched us play last year. We're not a team that's going to throw the ball inside, wait for the double, and then throw it out and play. It's not really our style. I will say this. I think we've got some bigs that can score when they've got a mismatch. If we have a mismatch inside, teams are switching. Teams decide to go small because we play a lot of perimeter-oriented basketball for whatever reason. We can post them up. We will do that some. And they're, you know, Rojas, Bruner, Alex Reese, they're more than capable of scoring inside. I mean, Bruner's got a great post game. He's also got an unbelievable perimeter game. I mean, he had a triple-double at Yale. He was 2 assists away from another triple-double. Like, he's a guy that will command double teams when needed. Now, when you say double team, I'm guessing you're thinking of post, old traditional basketball, the way it used to be played, double team in the post. We get most of our doubles off spacing the floor, driving the ball. When you beat your man on the perimeter, that's a double as well. They have to help on the drive or you give up a layup. So that double comes and we spray it. We think that gets better action than the old school drop it in the post, back down, wait for a double or try to go score. We think that's a little more stagnant, maybe a little more traditional, may be the word, but literally everybody on our team with the way we play is going to have to make the reads when the double comes, when they beat their men on drives. And we feel like we've got, I mean, Quinerly, with the way the rules are, you can't put your hands on people. Nobody can stay in front of him. Nobody could stay in front of Kyra last year. So Kyra demanded a double team whenever he had the ball almost. Now the double team didn't come immediately 30 feet from the floor. It came after he beat his man or in a pick and roll or whatever, and the help came, and then he made the right reads, and that's why they're talking about him being a lottery pick. Well, I think Jahvon Quinerly is going to do similar stuff. Herb Jones is going to be able to do the same thing. And then we're going to get our doubles in different type of actions than maybe traditional basketball would have done.
Okay, we got 3 more questions in the queue, so we'll just end with these 3 questions. Let's start with William Galloway.
Hey, Coach. Jaden Shackleford obviously had a tremendous season last year. How have you seen him develop in the offseason, both as a player, but being one of the guys that had a lot of playing experience as a leader on the team, even though he's only entering his sophomore year?
Little different look there from William in the dorm room or wherever he's at, but it's not the interior decorator that we had from some of the others. But the Shackleford question, still good, William. I appreciate you being on the call. Shackleford, I think, he's a great kid and he's markedly improved. I think the biggest area of improvement that we needed him to make was on the defensive side of the ball, and he's 100% bought into being a great defender. He's been much better in practice. He's taking over, you know, obviously we got multiple leaders on this team, but he's one of the guys that played heavy minutes. He averaged almost 17 points a game in SEC play. He wants to be a leader on this team. He wants ownership of this team. If you're a leader and you take ownership of the team, you have to guard if we're going to be any good. And he's much better defensive player. Now on the offensive side of the ball, which is where a lot of people look to see where improvements are made, we're playing him at the point a lot more to help him become a better combo guard rather than just a straight 2 guard. So is he a natural point guard? No, but I mean, you look at the NBA, a lot of those guys that are playing the point in the NBA were straight 2 guards in college. So we're getting him better, bringing the ball up the floor, handling him pick and roll, that type of stuff. We obviously know he's able to shoot the ball well. And then, so I think the combination of being able to be more of a combo guard and then his defense are the biggest areas of improvement he's made and will continue to make until we play games and as we continue to play games from last season.
Tony Tsoukalas.
Yeah, because this might seem obvious, but is this the most talented, deepest roster that you've coached? And then with maybe 7 or 8 guys that are starting caliber, how do you plan on kind of balancing those starting spots? I mean, especially compared to last year, what it was like.
Yeah, I mean, being the fact that last year was my first year in high major, we had really talented deep rosters at Buffalo on the mid-major level. So talent level is supposed to be a lot better here. So yeah, the answer is yes. Like you said, kind of obvious. So then how do you, like, we shoot 13 guys on scholarship. I mean, shoot, there may be 8, 9, 10 guys that you think about starting. What I've told our guys, and again, go back and look, it's easy for you to go back and look at our Buffalo teams, but even back to when I was a high school coach, like I rarely start the 5 best players. I haven't done it. I think you have to have punch off the bench. I think there's chemistry involved with, if you put your 5 best scorers on the floor to start the game, it doesn't always work the best. There's got to be guys that are willing to set other guys up, screen, there's got to be a mix of everything in all of your lineups. So if you look, we had a kid be 3-time 6th man of the year in Buffalo, and Nick Perkins. Like, he's the kid who made the most money professionally as a rookie after my last year there playing. He's really good, arguably the best kid on the team. He came off the bench his entire career at Buffalo. So I think there's going to be some guys that play starters minutes that are one of the 5 most talented, offensive talented kids on our roster that don't start, but they're still going to play a lot. So I told our guys, it's probably more like, as we talk about who's positioning themselves, who's, putting distance between them, and think about getting minutes, playing significant minutes, not starting, because you may be one of our 5 most talented guys and not start this year. All right. And who's to say who the 5 most talented guys are either, because talent comes in a lot of different areas. Like, there's rebounding talent, there's effort talent, there's defensive abilities, there's all kinds of stuff. So when we figure out who's going to start, it's going to be the 5 guys that give us the best chance to start the game well, while also having really good options to come in and play. I mean, it's a 40-minute game. You saw last year how many games, we started well, up 12 zip, up 20 whatever in the first half, and we don't win. You've got to have starters. You also have to have closers. We got to figure out who's going to finish games for us. That's more important than even who's starting the game, if that makes sense.
Okay, our final question will be from Alexander Plant.
All right, Coach. Last year, especially during SEC play, I think the team saw an uptick in turnovers per game. Is there any change in the game plan this year that we're going to try to cut down those turnovers this year?
I mean, ideally, you don't turn the ball over. So we would like to cut down on things that impact winning, on the negative side. So turnovers being one, but here's what we're not going to do. We're not going to slow the game down. Look, in order to cut down on turnovers, playing at the pace that we want to play at, you got to have more skilled players. Okay. So we went out and got more skilled players. All right. We've got guys that can handle the ball better on the perimeter. Okay. Overall, 1 through 5. We've got guys that can make reads, and then we're just going to do it, get in practice and make them make the reads, make them play fast and learn how to handle the ball. I mean, we chart turnovers every day in practice. That's the thing too. Like we played this fast at Buffalo. In my last year there, halfway through the year, 2/3 of the way through the year, we were top 10 in the country in turnover percentage, right? Like we just didn't turn the ball over. But we also had guys that were used to the system, used to playing at the pace we wanted, recruited to play at the pace that we wanted to play, and we're pretty good at it. So, and here's the other thing with our system that people have to realize. Like you can't look at raw numbers all the time either. Okay. Like defensively, points per game we give up, it's going to be higher than most teams because we got a lot more possessions in the game. Okay. So what you need to look at is what your efficiency numbers are. Okay. What's your defensive efficiency? What's your points per game you're giving up defensively? Same with turnovers. You can't look at raw turnovers. Okay. We're going to have more possessions. Okay. That again, positive and negative, right? Our scoring is going to be up because we got more possessions. So I get that, like we're 3rd in the country in scoring, but part of that is we play faster and have more possessions. you're going to have more turnovers the more possessions you have. So look at turnover percentage, the percentage of possessions you have where you turn the ball over. If that's, in the 150th and above and, 353 Division I teams, then that's going to be a problem. But if we're, 80th, 90th, 100th or whatever in turnovers, overall turnovers, like, or even turnover percentage, that's not the worst thing with, I'm a big basketball junkie. I remember a Hubie Brown clinic, right? Hubie, if you remember when he came back into coaching after he'd been in the broadcast booth forever, he came back and coached the Memphis Grizzlies. And that was back when the NBA was playing slow basketball. He started to play faster. Had 2 groups of 5. I went to a clinic of his and I went to training camp with the Grizzlies and a lot of stuff. He said, if you're worried about turning the ball over and you're going to scream and throw a fit every time they turn it over, then don't try to play fast. Like that, it's going to come. Now, they're going to figure it out. Eventually, you can't keep turning it over all the time, but you got to give guys a license to play fast and then figure out how to play fast. And I think you saw that last year. There's some guys that weren't used to playing fast that didn't have the skill level necessarily to play that fast. And, the turnovers went down as the year went on, but hopefully they're better this year.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Thank you, everybody, for attending today.